Can you buy a new EV for a good price? Turns out the answer is yes, and the best deal is a Chevrolet Bolt Buyback. If you're looking for a deal on an EV, now is the time, because we really don't know what the new political climate will bring. It probably won't bring the elimination of the tax credit immediately, but that's definitely something that's coming potentially. So you should be looking for a deal right now if you're looking for an EV. And what's the best deal? It might be one of these. This is a 2017 Chevrolet Bolt LT. It's the original release. I'm driving it from Ransomville, New York. Yes, that's right, north of Buffalo, back home to Morgantown. It is an insane idea, and the most insane part of it is this Bolt EV doesn't have CCS. I drove 400 miles while dodging severe weather in a car without a ton of range that was only charged to 75% when I picked it up in the middle of nowhere, New York. But luckily, New York and Pennsylvania have great charging infrastructure. And challenge on top of that, since I'm already being humiliated by the fact that I have to charge on level 2 only, I'm going to try to make them all for free as well. Stick around. I'm wearing a mask in the rental car because of the smell of the cleaners. Gotta love rental cars. Where's the temperature gauge, you ask? There isn't one. That's what I've noticed so far on my Chevy Spark. That and the ride is extremely uncomfortable. I can't really handle the vibration and the noise over the 60 miles per hour I've got the cruise set at. And I'm gonna be driving through the middle of the night. The reason I'm taking this ridiculous route is lake effect snow. And yes, I'm crazy trying to pick up a car while the area the car is in is having lake effect snow, but you get them while you can. I also thought that the Bolt I'm gonna get was one of the lowest mileage Bolts in the US. Turns out that is not true at all. There are dozens of triple-digit Bolts available right now for less than $20,000. That may seem like a little much, but I mean, they're brand new cars. They have brand new batteries. The car that I am going to get has brand new brake pads, brand new rotors on front and rear. All the systems have been checked. The only thing wrong with it is tires, and I've already ordered those because the tires that are on the car right now were manufactured in 2016. We've got Youngstown, Williamsport, Mount Morris, New York, Lockport, where I drop off the car, and eventually Ransomville, at Kipo Chevrolet. This car is horrible. The road noise is so far beyond excessive, it's hard to describe. I'm just vibrating and pulsating. However, I am going to get pretty good fuel economy. One of the advantages of setting the cruise at 60 is you probably never have to make any adjustments. If the speed limit goes to 55, you can probably still do 60. Another excuse for driving too slowly at 60. All right, we're getting a little signs of daylight here. The sun is coming up. It's 6:48. I'm 115 miles from my next stop, and I put gas in. I've got 7/8 of a tank left now, but it only took 13 bucks. So far I'm only $23 in on the trip, which is pretty good. Who knew an absolutely microscopic car driven really slow would do well on mileage? So 22 degrees out. It's not fun to go outside, but we are moving. I'm supposed to drop off this car by noon. I'm supposed to be at the rental place by 10, and hopefully someone from a dealership can come and pick me up. So I made it to the Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I sat and waited for someone to pick me up from the dealership. They took me down the road to Kipo Chevrolet, which is a really, really nice dealership, kind of in the middle of nowhere in Ransomville, New York. But they do have a pretty good selection of EVs. Here's a bunch of Blazer EVs right here. And they had actually just gotten in this gray Silverado EV. And they were nice enough to open it up for me. And let me take a look around. It is really cool. American themed stitching all the way across. controls. Boy, that's a big screen. Look at that. Oh, wow. Let's go to water. Look at this color. It's like the Audi gray. I don't remember the name of it, but it's an Audi gray. After Audi did it, everybody did it. What do we have here? These are what, 1,100 a piece? Let me see. What is it riding on? 275, 50, 24. Insane. This layout's very familiar. The steering wheel is very familiar. And it's the big guy, RST. All right, here it is. 2017 Bolt. It is the original Bolt, so there's some stuff missing. One pedal driving is missing. A couple other things. I don't know anything about these cars at all. To be 100% transparent, I'm going to learn about it today. I've been in one. I've ridden in one. This is my first opportunity to drive it. And as you can see, it's telling me I got 140 miles of range. I have about a 400-mile trip. So you guys get to come with me and find out what it's like to find chargers on a non-CCS charging vehicle. And yes, I'll show you that. All level 2, all the way. It's telling me 50 miles till I get to my first place I want to start to charge. I have 138 miles of range. We'll see how that works itself out. If you notice, the odometer is 4837. Right now I turned everything off. I've got my climate off. I was running it a lot hotter than I thought I was, and I didn't realize it, so I'm going to turn it off and turn it on intermittently. This is a hypermile job, so in a 55 mile an hour zone, I'm doing 45, 42, and then when I see snow, I'm slowing way down. And the reason for that is because these tires are 8 years old. So yes, they have wonderful tread because they're brand new as far as miles, but they're not brand new as far as time. So who knows what kind of degradation we got going on. I just have to treat them like they're old. We are already playing the game. These used to be free, and now they are not anymore. So I came to my first charging stop, which was kind of impromptu because I had to stop at Walmart to get a charger because I didn't have a USB-A charger, but now I have one. So my first stop is no longer free. Also, this took about, I don't know, 3 minutes, 4 minutes to boot up. This worked immediately. This screen took about 3 minutes to boot up. So we're learning as we go. Here we are at EV Connect at the dam overlook. And if you look at the odometer, I just happen to be at 4888. All right, so I've worked out my strategy. It's taken a lot of effort. Here's how I'm getting home. I am currently at this EV Connect on PlugShare, which is free. You have to use the EV Connect app, but man, is it nice. But how did I find it? Let's go to my filters. 7, plug score. I turned everything off, 10 kilowatts or more, because that doesn't help me anyway. 1772 only. I didn't bring my Tesla adapter, so I couldn't select NACS Tesla, unfortunately. And I also highlighted free charge, hide restricted access, and if you scroll down a little more, hide coming soon. And so now I'm looking at a map of where I'm at and where I have to go. I am where the dot is, and I've got to go all the way to Morgantown. But if you take a look, there's chargers all the way along it. The only other problem is, if I look at the weather radar, this is what's really going to kill me. It's 34 and cloudy, but if I take a look at this radar, there's lake effect snow, and it's coming. So I need to get home, but I can't drive quickly because I need to charge. It's going to be a really, really tough set of decisions to get home. And I can't go this way, which would be how you would normally get there. Buffalo to Erie, and then 79, which runs right through my town. So unfortunately, I can't do that. I've got an option in Dansville, which is Gunlock Company. There's also one in Bath, and it is Ford, so probably a good chance it's reliable and works. Slow charge, but it's free. 6 kilowatt, October, okay. But then the options get pretty dense down here. there is a Holiday Inn Express with a 10 plug score. There's a Hampton Inn. There's a Fairfield Inn. There's Quality Inn. So 4 hotels, and they all have chargers, and the snow is going to be like right in here. I'm going to check the radar one more time. Oh, and I've done all this on one sleep, by the way. I haven't gone to sleep yet, and I'm by myself. There's where it starts to get hairy, is at 9 p.m. So by 9 p.m., I need to be out of this entire area. I'm trying to outrun the snow and yet remain with enough charge. And I got to stop recording because I'm running out of battery on my phone. I've got 100 miles of range right now. I pulled in here with 87. And my next charging stop is 56 miles away. Okay, I pulled in here like 4:30 and it is 5:48 now. All right, full hyper mile. I'm gonna reset the trip. Hyper mile. I don't know how long I'm gonna last, but I'm gonna try to only turn on the climate when I'm charging. All right, there's the leg. 63 miles, 4.3 miles per kilowatt hour. All right, here we are. I'm going at 4 or 5 kilowatts. It says I'm going to be charged up by 1 a.m. And this is I'm at the Holiday Inn Express. I'm going to stay over for a minute, take a shower, and I got to let this thing charge up. And then the only other way to get it to, at least based on what I know about the Bolt so far, the only way to get it to not charge to 100 and give me a little space at the top is this Hilltop Reserve. Which I turned on, and so I think that's the only way I know how to stop it from going all the way to 100. If you look out there, you can see the snow is already coming down, and I'll do a screenshot of the radar. So based on the radar, it looks like it's going to clear up about 1 a.m. when the car is, closer to fully charged. All right, good morning. It's 6:14 a.m. and I came out to the car and it's covered in snow. So now it's time to figure out how to map what I'm doing. If I look at the road that I can take directly due south, it's just constant snow warnings. And it's a horrible road. Nothing against it, but it goes up and down a mountain. It's a direct shot, but it's really, really terrible. Not going to be able to go that way. So since I'm here, I'm going to have to take 1786. Well, it's actually Interstate 86. I'm going to take 86. This is the radar currently. So looks like the further east I go, the better. But I can't go too far east because they're getting more Candlewood suites. That's an 8 plug score. Plug for guests and motel only. Must check in with front desk before use. That's not going to help us either. Key Bank. Okay. And this looks good. Plug score 10. That's where we're going. 53 miles. Looks like the snow's let up a little bit, which is great. All right, so I've got the car warmed up. I turned on the defrost for a long time and it ran. This was saying 1 kilowatt, half a kilowatt for a good bit, which is okay. It's still charging. I'm gonna have some coffee, which is the only breakfast in there that looked appealing. And I'm looking at 9 p.m. right now. It's 6:29 a.m. I'm looking at 9 p.m. arrival right now. So we're gonna limp it down the interstate and see what happens. And just before we unplug, that 9 o'clock arrival time is based on 4 miles per kilowatt hour, which means before I unplug, I'm gonna have to turn off the climate, and I'm only gonna be able to run the climate while I'm charging. And I'm gonna need more charge towards the end, because the closer I get to home, the fewer chargers there are. So I need to take advantage of all the charging I can, but at the same time, I can't be sitting here all day. What a mess. Let's get home. Okay, everything I previously said is true, except I'm not leaving yet. I've turned off the climate here, sitting at the hotel. I'm still here at the hotel because I'm getting a really good charge. 7 kilowatts, 6 kilowatts. I'm gonna let it get maybe 180 miles. When I get to 180, 6 more miles, and obviously these aren't miles. Like, I don't know what they are, especially the way I'm gonna run it, but I think I'm gonna go to 180, and once I go to 180, I'll warm the cabin back up. 181 miles. The sun is coming up, and I've just turned off the cabin. HVAC. We are ready to do this. I'm gonna click and hold the check mark to reset the trip meter. Here we go. I've got 181 miles of range. I have 354 miles left to go, and I'm not running climate, and it's under 30 degrees. Okay, now that I'm this far east, I can make a better appraisal of what's going on. And through my unfortunately nasty windshield, it's really not that bad. The roads are just wet. I think I've made it far enough to the east to where getting south isn't dangerous anymore, which means I'm probably, instead of taking 81 south, I'm going to take 220. I don't want to do that, but it's going to save me so many miles of travel. And honestly, the only issue with this car is miles when it comes to travel. So speaking of miles though, efficiency is really good. Still being able to hit that same 4.2 miles per kilowatt hour at 50 with climate off, so definitely good there. But I think 220 is going to be the answer. I'm going to head down 220 south, and I am looking for free chargers still, but there are a couple charge points that can bail me out in the event that I don't find them. All right, Candlewood Suites has a nice little Clipper Creek here. We kind of got it all. There's a Dunkin' like literally right there, and I'm going to charge for 30 minutes. I'm reading 156 right now, but I'm going to charge for 30. I'll turn on the climate intermittently to warm up the cabin, but I think that's probably the move here, is a little 30-minute hops, and it's not going to get me back to where I was. I'll slowly lose power, but I will be able to continue my route without having to worry too much. I knew the time would eventually come, and here it is. We are in not good snow conditions, but we got to do it. And I did a little bit of charging, and now we're 220 south. It let up. Show them. I'm just showing it let up quickly. This leg of 220 wasn't great, but it was okay. I did see a charge point about 9 miles off the main road that looked promising though. All right, so I drove 7 miles one way to get to that charge point over there, and I'm not getting to it. There's just absolutely no way. And this is the game you play when you do this. On to the next one. I pulled over quickly and found a Toyota dealership in Williamsport. Look at that little Toyota dealership at Shoko, Siako. I'll pronounce it right later.
Choka.
Toyota. And it's letting me charge. And it's not very fast. It's 5 kilowatt with the climate off, so it's not going to be a fast one. But at 145, it goes to $10 an hour. But for right now, it's free. So I am going to take advantage of that, and then we'll move to the next one. Let's do some planning. We are at the Toyota dealership in Williamsport, and we've got to go home. All right, I got 2 routes home that are the fastest. One is to stay on 220, it looks like, until we get to Cumberland. I think that's probably just going to be the best way to go. Looks like the severe weather warnings have lifted a little bit from where they were this morning. Your typical culprits: Frostburg, Friendsville, Cheat Lake, that's Cooper's Rock. So the other thing we got to do is check PlugShare to make sure we can make it home that way. So here is Cumberland. That looks like it's probably public. That looks promising though. It also doesn't look like it's too far off the road, which we paid for that back here in Eagle's Nest or whatever it was. Yeah, this one, Eagle's Mirror. Really nice charger, but completely covered in snow today. We've got this guy, and let's see what people are saying about speed. 10.4 kilowatt charge. It's like some high-powered Clipper Creeks. I don't think I'll get that fast. That's definitely where we're going next, and it's 24 miles away. I'm going to warm the cabin up because I'm cold. State College, 8 kilowatts. Man, that's fast too. Yeah, we're definitely doing that then. And then Cumberland, I got to trust that this thing works here, the Thomas B. Finnan Center. So I'm going to need to have 100 miles of range when I get there, or I'm going to have to charge to 100 miles of range. And I've been racing this storm all day. I got to make all these little stops. So far, my only confusion with the Bolt is this thing and this button. I'm sure all my Bolt owners that are watching are sitting here laughing at me, but you have to press this button before you move it into gear, and it's just something to get used to. But that's reverse. And of course, I can't do it because the charge cord's connected. But yeah, it's a weird thing. Also, the brakes definitely engage the regen, but I'm a fan of the paddle. I've been using the paddle. I'm at 90 miles of range with the climate on. Let's kill that. And now it's telling me 97. New mail trucks. Also, you know it, 50. At this point, it was starting to sink in that I was going to have to charge for a very long period of time when I showed up at my next stop. So I'm really hoping for amenities. Who knew I'd end up on the Jersey Shore? Let's see if the chargers work. And the answer is yes. We're doing really well. 5 kilowatts with the climate on. There's a little spot right down the road called Pizza to Go. Shout out to Jersey Shore. I'm gonna grab some Jersey Shore pizza, and I'm way far from the ocean. It sounds wonderful. So I need to do one extremely deep charge today. I wasn't gonna be able to avoid it. There's no way I could put enough in my battery to get home in one charge. Pizza to Go is at the end of this parking lot adjacent to it. And then there's a grocery store right there. Yeah, it's gonna be some nasty walking on the nasty snow-covered streets, but I think this is definitely the best place to do anything so far as a deep charge. I can go grocery shopping a little bit, get some snacks, and we'll go down here to Pizza to Go, and I'll let you know how it's going. All right, so I'm at the restaurant, and I have 225 miles left till I get home. That's a long way, but it's the shortest route, so I have to take it because it's so much longer if I don't. And then if we do the math, I have 25% battery, which is what I'd like to arrive at home with. So let's just assume that that's gone. So I'm going to need to do the entire trip of charging still, which is 225 miles. How many kilowatt hours will I need for that? Well, divide the 225 by the 4.2 I've been getting. It's 53 kilowatt hours that I need. Divide that by the 6.6, which is the maximum I think I can get here. It's probably a 32 amp onboard charger, so this is probably all I can get. Is 8.11 hours of charging left. Let's also find out what 25% of 60 kilowatt hours is. 15 kilowatt hours times the 4.2. It's another 63 miles. So yeah, I kind of need 63 miles of emergency. And I've got 8 more hours of charging left. There's the car. And I just walked up this hill to the grocery store. Okay, we're back. And it's now 2:56 p.m. I've got a destination in State College mapped out. It's 48 miles away. This is how far we got. Plugged in, turned off. This is how far we got. I'm still plugged in. I'm gonna warm up the cabin first. I gotta do that, and then I'll be ready to rock. But yeah, I just did the map for Cumberland, and I still don't even have enough to get to Cumberland. It's 156 miles away, so still got a long way to go. We're gonna head to State College, and we'll check the quality of that charger. There are a lot around State College. We got a winter storm warning. It's now no longer severe weather alert. It's a winter storm warning on I-68. So I've got to be ready for that. And I think it's time to go. We've done, I don't know, about 3 hours here, either over or under, but somewhere around 3 hours here. So 5 hours of charging left. There's another one that'll hit you right in the pants. So I think I'm gonna, once I get the cabin warmed up, I'm gonna go down to Pizza to Go and use the restroom. And hopefully I'll probably buy something else for the road. That way they don't look at me weird. But I already look weird because, yes, this car smells so bad from cleaner. I'm wearing a mask the whole time. But when you exhale through the mask, it doesn't put humidity in the cabin, which is good because I don't have the climate running and everything would fog up anyway. We'll talk soon. So the pizza, as far as hometown, like self-made pizza, was pretty fire. So I think that's the move. I think I'm gonna do a cheesesteak to go. Am I oversharing at this point? Subscribe if I am. You've got to be asking yourself, Why would anyone do this to themselves? Well, there's a $1,200–1,300 warranty, 4 years, 40,000 miles. What does that tell me? It tells me that Chevy has a lot of confidence in these buyback bolts. So that was huge. And the price is almost too good to pass up. In fact, I bought it with cash. I had to. It's too good of a deal. And my son should have a great car for a long time. And if he doesn't like it, I'm going to take it. Because at the end of the day, I'm kind of falling in love with this car. All right, so the Bolt has caught on. It has a 60 kilowatt hour battery. And if I go 4 miles per kilowatt hour, then that's a total of 240 miles. Simple math. 60 times 4 is 240. Half of that would be 120. And I'm at 50%, and I'm reading 120. So the Bolt's guessometer has now figured it out, and these miles are now real miles. That's definitely helpful for the rest of the trip. Okay, charging station. Penn State has an Equinox, or whatever their municipal body does. They have an Equinox EV as a vehicle. That's pretty cool. We're charging, we're plugged in. I'm gonna walk away and use the restroom. I'll be right back. We'll calculate. State College, 107 miles of range, bouncing between looks like 5 and 6 kilowatts. I turned on the climate long enough to get warmed up because the walk to the sheets that's over there, I don't know if you can see it. It's just barely in the focus. It's like right there. That walk was horrible. Big, massive 2 major roadway intersection, and then just a horrible wind gust. I was just unlucky, but anyway, I made it back. Got that cheesesteak earlier. I'm gonna munch it. This is exactly like a Jersey sub. Man, that's good. It is 7:17. It's telling me 126 miles with the climate on. I just turned it on a couple minutes ago to get warm again. I'm gonna turn it off, and now it bumps to 134. I think I'm gonna go to Altoona. If that doesn't work, I've got a charge point to back it up, but I'm really sick of charging and sitting here for so long. The wind's starting to blow like it might snow here again. It's time to make a move. I think my backup camera's dirty. It's horrible. On the road, the wind is insane. It is horrible. It's moving the car. And
in about 7 miles, keep left toward Fort Matilda.
The difference between this car and the Chevy Spark is huge. This car weighs so much more, and you can tell because the wind moved the Spark at a gust, but these are not gusts we're getting now. I mean, it's not steady wind, but it's really bad wind. And I've lost 1/10 of a mile per kilowatt hour on the back leg of this trip due to this wind. Okay, so I didn't include the story, I think, when I was at State College, but the sheets, I took a shortcut to get there through like a little grass path, which I'm sure is very well used regularly because it's like a gravel. It was a gravel path. But I took this gravel path, and then I came out near an intersection, and I went across the intersection. But when I came back, I could not find the source of the place I came out of with the gravel path. So I ended up walking about a mile, and I'm glad I got lost on the way to the charger because I recognized the industrial complex, like this truck lot I walked into full of industrial trucks and gear, and I had to walk down a really steep hill coated with snow, kind of worse than the grocery store even, and find the vehicle. And I ended up walking about a mile. It took that's better part of 10-15 minutes, so it might not have been a mile, probably a half mile.
2 miles, keep left toward Port Matilda.
And yeah, it was not fun, but I thought I'd include the story in case I didn't earlier. Nissan, courtesy Nissan, Altoona, Pennsylvania. You got to go over there and flip the switch. It says it right on PlugShare. So that's all set. Next thing I need to do though is, if you look outside, I'm getting hit on the windshield with snow, so I need to check the radar. 87 miles with the climate on, and with climate off, 92, and we're 61 miles away. I'm gonna turn off the car, see if I can't find a restroom. So I looked around the parking lot here, and it doesn't look to me like there's been a lot of snow. If you look at the cars, they also don't look like they've got a ton of snow on them. So yes, it's an extremely light dusting right now, but it doesn't look like it's dusting anymore. So we're done dusting. So we're still sitting here We're looking at 105 miles of range. So I'm really just trying to get home at this point. It's 9 o'clock. I think I left the hotel at 7. I'm 14 hours in here so far. I did a whole bunch of math. Here's the breakdown. I have 139 miles to go before I get home. I need a 40-mile buffer to arrive with 20%, which is the safe way to do it. I don't know this car. So that's 180. I have 108. 180 minus 108 is 72. I do it every single time I stop. I do all this math. Because, I mean, what else am I going to do? I'm sitting here. It's all about programming safety and assuming chargers don't work. If we can program all the safety and assume all the chargers don't work, that's how you make it. That's why I've been running from 60% to 25% all day long. I think that's probably the range. I'm a little bit loopy at this point. And that's the other thing, is I'm running out of time that I can function well. I don't know if you can tell by now, I am sick of being out here. I bought some Good and Plenty's at the store. Have you ever had Good and Plenty? If you like licorice, these are okay. If you don't, they're disgusting. Trying to get a little sugar into the system so I can stay awake. Yeah, it looks like I'm using 1 kilowatt to warm the cabin right now because it's so cold. 10 o'clock. There it is. There's my omen. It's exactly 10. Let's go. All right, I think the weather threat is mostly over. It's not a lot of snow, so we've dodged the storms. I've reduced my speed to 45. I'm trying to do every single thing I can to get that range back that it just took away from its calculation. And I think that 5 mile per hour reduction in speed will benefit me greatly, especially on the mountains. The slower you go on the interstate, the more regenning you can do, because at a really high speed, you can't take advantage of quite as much regen. So on a downhill, I can do like 30 kilowatts at 45 miles an hour. So obviously 45 when there's a lot of traffic on a real interstate like the blue one. 45 on those roads does not work when it's busy. But since it's 10:30 on a Thursday night in the middle of literal nowhere, Pennsylvania, I can go 45 because there's nobody. There's just absolutely no one. And so it doesn't hurt me, and it's really making up for the miles now. 95, which is what it says I have, minus 40 is now 55. So the deep charge at the Nissan dealership may be what we needed. Yeah, we just bumped to 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour for the trip. That's significant. All right, the interstate is over. And it changes to 220. It just becomes 220. It just terminates. Which is great, which means I can now go 37. And I've already seen some deer. There was a deer crossing. I had to slam on the brakes just a second ago for deer. So many deer spotted. Deer country, deer time, deer season. All the more reason to go 37. You're probably cringing right now that I'm driving 37, but 37 is way better than sitting at a charger at 0. And the more miles you can get out of every kilowatt hour, the fewer hours you got to spend at that charger. And we're still maybe talking about at least an hour of charging. All right, so this thing is Shell Recharge, but it's not Shell the app. There are 2 apps. I didn't know there were 2 apps. So I just spent 11 minutes on the phone getting someone to initialize my free charge. I don't think I'm going to get the kind of range I got on 220 on 68, because 220 is mostly downhill and 68 is massive uphills followed by slow downhills. And then there's a really big downhill at the very end. Let's check the map. Home, 77 miles away. I have 75 miles of range currently. So I got a little bit of time. Oh, I'm so cold. All right, I'm turning on the climate. Friendsville is only 36 miles away, and that might just be the move. Looks like a lot of winter storm stuff going on here. I'm not too worried about that. Maryland's really good about it. Once we hit the West Virginia line, that's when it gets bad. Looks like the warnings let up, though. Oh, man, I'm so loopy at this point. The Cornucopia Cafe is 21 miles away. I can definitely get there. They're definitely going to be closed, which sucks, but we'll see if it turns on. I don't know if it'll turn on, because if you go in here, it says customers only. That's no good. It's like in April, somebody couldn't get the Clipper Creek to work, but the next person that tried the Clipper Creek a month later did get it to work. We might gamble there. This is basically my buffer. I'm here on the buffer. But because my range was so good, it's telling me I have 75 miles. I don't think I do. We'll find out. So as I sit here, there's a bolt on this side of me, and there's a bolt on this side of me. And they're both the newer ones. From what I can tell, they put a little newer version of the steering wheel in, a little bit bigger screen. They reshaped the dash a little bit. But other than that, the shape of the car is the same. It has the unlock button on the front door only. A lot of this stuff carries over to the Prologue too, to be honest with you. I was surprised how much of the software just feels very similar. Refresh is definitely the word. I guess that's probably the conclusion I'm drawing. There are some significant improvements in the looks, especially in the front. This might be my last wait, so I really want to get home. It's 12:17. Okay, my least favorite thing about the Shell Recharge is they tell you how long you've been there. An hour and 12 minutes is how long I was there. I didn't look at this kilowatt hours because I don't even want to be that humiliated. But regardless, we're on the road. There it is, home. 77 miles away. Climate goes off. 91, 92. Cumberland, Maryland. Here we are. 40 mile per hour speed limit. It's the slowest part of 68, so I get to start off slow, but there's a massive hill coming up. All right, I'm still getting away with doing 40. I got a 10-mile differential, 80 miles of range, 70 miles till I get home. Okay, here we are just a few miles down the road, and now 65, 64. So I knew this would happen. Oh yeah, and it's definitely snowing now. We're now at the top of the mountain. It's a blizzard, whiteout, snowstorm, no traction. I gotta stop recording. Yeah, it's horrible. 28. I've got 10 miles to Friendsville. It's horrible. Just when you thought you were playing it on expert mode, the real expert mode shows up. So I got 2.9 miles to Friendsville, 44 miles of range. That looks good. It's better than I thought it was going to end up being. Well, folks, the charging isn't going to be free. I had to charge at the Friendsville charge point. If you watch this channel, you'll recognize those two. There's the Friendsville DC fast chargers. I think it's 21 cents a kilowatt hour. I need to be at least 50. I need to use the restroom. It's going to be a long, painful walk. Just ticked over to 50. I caught it. It's about 34 miles to home. When you think expert mode has delivered itself, you haven't crossed into West Virginia yet. I can't wait. Okay, with the climate on, it says 52 miles. You know, I'm just sitting here thinking that's not enough. I needed to say at least 60. The reason I'm staying until 60 is that minimum number at the bottom. It says max 67, minimum 37, and 37 just barely gets me past the house. Now, I've got some really terrible uphills, and there's like 7 different spots that say that there's going to be weather and delays with the orange. I just need to make sure I've got extra. This will be the worst of everything so far. It'll be the worst for sure. We've got the ultimate range killer on ramp. It's like up a mountain for a mile. At least it's straight. All right, here's our first mystery. What will the difference between the state lines look like? This is Maryland. We're in Maryland. You can see it's wet with cinders in the main lane. The passing lane is covered with snow. But here we are, approaching eastern Preston County. What's it gonna look like? Okay, so far so good. It's just chunks of ice on the road. Morgantown 23, 41 miles of range, 33 minimum, 27 to the door. Are you nervous enough? Absolutely not. We need to turn your green bar of energy orange. Now we have orange range. 17 miles to the door, 37 miles of range. I have an extremely long, steep hill right here. I mean, it's long and steep. But it's followed by a longer, steeper downhill. Just running over some chunks of ice, no big deal. All right, here we are. The top of Cooper's Rock Road, But this is the top of Cooper's Rock Hill. I've got 30 miles of range now. 14 miles to the door, 29 miles of range now. But here's the equal and opposite downhill that starts right here, and it goes for, I don't know, 5 miles. I got 3 miles of a 5% grade. Oh, and there's hairpin turns the whole way down it too. But at 25 miles per hour, I'm getting 4 kilowatts. So I guess that's the silver lining. There goes a plow truck. I think they really put the effort in on this one. West Virginia side was better than Maryland side this time, which is great. 12 miles to the door. Still at that same 29 miles of range. There's that experience I wanted you to get. Imagine that 3, 4, 5, 600 times. 32 miles of range. 9.8 miles to the door. I'll check in when I get home. And here's the final result for the trip. 384 miles, 4.2 miles per kilowatt hour. These are the photos that we sent around the family once I got home with the vehicle, and we could at least tell people we were safe getting home. Shane was extremely excited to get his car, and we're really happy with this Bolt. Of course, it's white, because obviously it has to be. I don't really mind white cars, but I have definitely had a lot of them over the years at this point. This one was just too good to pass up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll do a full breakdown of the purchase price, how I found it, how much it cost, the tax credit application, everything else. We've also put tires on it, added some accessories, and did some cleaning of the interior, which is also worth checking out. I'll release all that in upcoming videos. But here it is, 2017 Bolt, and the only really bad thing about it is there is no one-pedal driving and no CCS. Should be a great car for my son though, and I'm excited to see how he likes it. What are your thoughts? How much should this car have cost? Would you risk getting a buyback Bolt? And how crazy do you think I am for driving it home when I did? And what kind of experiments and videos do you want to see regarding the Bolt? The one question we did answer today was, can you make it on free charging level 2? It's a nightmare and it takes forever, but the answer is yes. Oh, and the charge point was $1. I spent $1. Subscribe for more. Check out my charging video. No matter what EV you have, it can definitely provide some insights, and we'll see you on the next one.
Hey, smash the like button.
Thank you.